Simon, this brings us
Yes.
to our favourite part of the podcast. It's called The Intermission.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's intermission time.
Dan Barrett, I know you love your award ceremonies. We often text late into the night with the snubs and surprises associated with everything from the Indie Spirit Awards to the French Caesars. So this year, this morning, in fact, the Emmy nominations, the second time this year, the Emmy nominations have dropped. And there are some very notable inclusions, series, I should say, like Shogun and The Bear have dominated. The FX network has done really well this year. It's the most nominated of all the networks, and good on them for that.
Well, that's not true.
Yeah, yes, it is.
No, it's not.
I've got the information right here in front of me.
I mean, if you want to use the word networks, like that's probably the technical term you want. But in terms of nominations, look, I didn't want to get into this already, Simon, but here we are.
Here we go.
So the most nominated this year was Netflix with 107 nominations.
Right.
FX had, I believe, 97, and then you've got HBO, which came in third. So this is the worst HBO's performed in, I'm trying to do the math now, since 1996, which is incredible.
That's a changing of the guard, isn't it, to some extent? My point being, there were some notable snubs and surprises amongst it, and we all love our snubs and surprises analysis of major award ceremonies. So let's go ahead with the snubs and surprises from this year's Emmy nominations. Cue some kind of music. No, don't worry about that. Just get on with the segment.
Yeah, look, you can always tell the person who's editing the podcast versus the person who isn't, because the person who isn't is like, let's just add more production. So, look.
All right. Where do you want to start with first? What was the one surprise that said, oh, good, I'm glad this is happening?
Well, before I want to get to snubs and surprises, I just wanted to give like an overall thing that people need to consider with this year's Emmys, which are a bit different to most Emmy Awards, which is
That's
that
true.
Usually the way, and the Emmys, particularly because we're talking about serialized TV, the voting body for the Emmys have a really terrible track record of just continuing to nominate and award shows year after year on the basis that they awarded them the previous year. So when it actually comes to new TV programs, it's pretty rare that they get a look in because, like for the last 4 years, Succession has been winning every year. And so once they locked into Succession on that first year, it meant that for every year after that, Succession was always going to be the program. The same thing happens with comedies, and it takes a pretty big sort of breakout program to suddenly wrestle control away from one of these shows that has like a bit of momentum. So you'll remember that when Succession took over, the previous darling had been, I think, The Handmaid's Tale for a couple of seasons. Or maybe it was The Crown. I think it was The Crown for a few seasons before then. And The Crown has taken it from Handmaid's Tale, and it was, So you usually see this come through. And the same thing happens with individual categories as well.
Yep.
But this year is really unique in that Succession's finished up, which means that all the drama categories are open for grabs. And all the big dramas that you would expect to slide in and take Succession's mantle, they didn't make programs this year. Like, you'd think that Severance, the Apple TV Plus program, that would be absolutely a lock for being a very strong contender for the Emmy Award, if not the likely winner of the best drama, but didn't release a season during the nominated period because there was the strikes that took place. And as a result, there was no episodes. So the shows that actually made it to air, people, including myself, early this year, are scratching around thinking, well, look at what's eligible. Are we going to see a situation where the morning show on Apple TV Plus, a show that is terrible, it's really, really bad, okay, is that going to be the best drama purely on the basis that it's got strong production quality and it's got this idea that it's a prestige drama, even if it is just trash soap? Could that be the best drama? But what we've seen this year is that Shogun, which was going to be just a limited series, they end up deciding to move that into being a ongoing program. So we don't know when we'll see season 2, but it does mean that it's now eligible for that ongoing drama series category. And
that
so
paid off. Yeah,
absolutely. 25 nominations across the board. So as we start thinking about like the wins and the snubs, just keep in mind the operating environment these shows are in. There's been some very crafty maneuvering taking place to get some of the successes that we're seeing.
That is absolutely true. You are spot on, as is always your analysis of the TV scene. I'm grateful for it every week. Having said that, the morning show did get an awful lot of nominations, probably for that reason. But it's up there. It's fighting amongst the biggies, as is for the first time in many years. And this is one of the surprises that I'm happy to talk about is Reservation Dogs, which has been a lot of people's favourite show for many, many years, but hasn't had the award acclamation, totally the wrong word, acclaim that it probably should have had. But Reservation Dogs is amongst the running this year, and that's a big plus.
Look, it only got 4 nominations, and I don't think it's going to win in any of the categories. But before we just get into the wins and snubs, let's just quickly run through the best drama series and best comedy series to get a bit of the lay of the land, and then we'll start looking at the snubs and successes here. So best drama series, these are the nominated programs. You've got The Crown, which is, long-time favorite. But you know how I said that you've got the issue where the show's nominated every year. As soon as they stop being nominated, they never really get a look in again. So The Crown just won't get a look in now because it's kind of had its moment. You got Fallout, which I think is going to struggle because it's a genre program, and generally you don't really find that does particularly well with the Emmy voters outside of maybe the X-Files back in the day. You got The Gilded Age. You've got The Morning Show, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Shogun, Slow Horses, and Three Body Problem. Slow Horses, I think, probably absolutely deserves to be part of this conversation, but it's probably a little bit sort of too niche, and outside of the performance of Gary Oldman, I'm not sure we'll probably get that much of a look into the traditional Emmy voting body. The Gilded Age, I reckon if we didn't have the situation where Shogun had been moved into the category it is, I reckon The Gilded Age may have actually become the surprise breakout. I think that show does incredibly well in terms of production values on every episode of it. It's got a really good, interesting cast. I think there's so much to recommend about The Gilded Age, but it's a little bit soapy, and I think that's probably the big issue that it has. Meanwhile, you got Shogun that comes in and does everything that The Gilded Age does, and probably just a little bit better with like that sort of grounded, very sort of masculine, dramatic sort of energy around it, which I think goes a bit of a distance when it comes to nominations.
Let me just... Oh, sorry, did you finish the list there?
Well, I was going to say, do you want to do comedy series? Do you have it there in front of you?
Yes, I do have comedy series in front of me, he says, trying to find the best comedy series. Oh, here we are. So, a lot of big names there, of course. Abbott Elementary has been a favourite for the last few years and is probably at the front. Although, having said that, you've got the final year of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and you've got the juggernaut that is The Bear in there as well. Lot of love for things like Only Murders in the Building and Hacks, and the aforementioned Reservation Dogs. And then you've got a couple of bolters in the form of What We Do in the Shadows and Palm Royale, the Kristen Wiig thing from Apple TV. Yes, a lot of quality work there. The bolter could be Hacks, but I think The Bear is on such an award season, trajectory at the moment that it's probably going to clean up in that category. Your thoughts?
And worth keeping in mind, The Bear is being nominated for the previous season, so season 2, because that debuted during the nomination period, and not season 3, which is currently just available now on Disney+.
Exactly right. Interesting bunch. Do you have, I was thinking, where are some of the shows that we've discussed?
Sorry, just with The Bear as well, I think absolutely deserving for that second season of the show. I think that it was by far, of all the shows here, I think exceptional. Curb Your Enthusiasm, I think, not necessarily the strongest season of the program, but it probably deserves a bit of a look in at some point. And I reckon Larry David will probably get an award for Best Actor in a Comedy Series.
Wow,
just purely because it's kind of like a legacy thing, and this will be the last time that the Emmy Awards have the opportunity to actually award him something, because he's not going to be back with another series. So, this is it.
Best, I think one of the most interesting categories is the best limited or anthology series. We've got a lot of the shows that we've spoken of as being our favourites over the last year or so. True Detective, Night Country, the Jodie Foster series, Ripley, Lessons in Chemistry, which we haven't really embraced on this podcast, but I might give it a look because I'm a Brie Larson fan. She's been nominated.
That's fine.
It's fine. Baby Reindeer, which was very much the buzzy Netflix series when the nominations were firming, and Fargo, which for me features probably the best. It's hard to go past Jodie Foster in Night Country, but Fargo with Juno Temple is also a memorable performance. So there's some quality television amongst that lot.
Yeah, to me, I mean, it's very much Jodie Foster's year. I think that has to happen, doesn't it?
The what?
It has to be Jodie Foster this year, surely.
I think so. I mean, there's some great stuff in those in those 5 shows. I think Fargo's going to give Night Country a run for its money on the sort of the crime series front, but yeah, quality
I,
stuff
I
all
don't
the
think
way through.
I don't know there's a best crime series category, and on the
No,
basis
that's
of that, I think Baby Reindeer is going to win that limited anthology series.
that is a big call. That is a huge call
It's
given
hugely
the
popular.
controversy. Yeah,
It's
it is. It
very
was
watchable. Yeah,
very buzzy title. Yep.
if it wasn't for Baby Reindeer, I think it'd probably be True Detective or Ripley would be the two most likely contenders there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Can Divine Joy Ralph win for Only Murders in the Building as the best guest actress in a comedy series, up against a lot of quality work? Kristen Wiig, Maya Rudolph for SNL, and Jamie Lee Curtis for The Bear, Olivia Colman for The Bear. There's some big names for Divine Joy Ralph to overcome. Talking about Only Murders in the Building, one of the most pleasing things about this year's nominations is that it's finally recognised Selena Gomez as one of the pivotal creative sort of forces and creative input on that show. She got a Best Actress in a Comedy Series. Going to be tough for her to beat Ayo Edebiri in The Bear and Quinta Brunson for About Elementary, but it's a quality list of nominees there in the Best Actress Comedy Series. Wow.
I mean, I can tell you why it's going to be hard for Selena Gomez to beat anyone else in that category, but you don't want to hear the answer to that one, Simon, so I'm going to be polite and not say it.
No, I want to hear it. What do you answer? Why? I promised I'll react very with a very level head.
She sucks.
Oh, what the fuck? Sorry, I totally lost my cool there. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah. Anyway, we promised wins and snubs, Simon, and we've gotten away from that. So,
we certainly have. Yes.
What was the question you posed to me originally?
I can't remember. One of the big snubs for me might be, and I'm not really surprised, but I'm kind of surprised, is The Curse, the Nathan Fielder, Emma Stone, Benny Safdie thing that was on Showtime. It proved to just be too weird or too confronting or whatever the reasons are.
Yeah,
but
keep in mind, Emmy Awards, Simon, like it's a very traditional voting body. They don't do weird.
Yeah. No, that's very true. They are a staid lot. A little bit stagnant in their thinking. The Curse. Hey, I don't blame people for not liking The Curse because it was a challenging show to watch. But yeah, I think it's a shame that it's missed out in some key categories there. Emma Stone could have really had a huge year with her Oscar for Poor Things and then that, but didn't happen. The Sympathizer missed out. You were kind of a fan of The Sympathizer, weren't you? Everything except Robert Downey Jr.'s big showy multi-character performance got missed out on nominations there. So that's a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, but also like this is part of the problem of things like the Emmy Awards and the Oscars, where they don't really celebrate international cinema in a way that you kind of think that they will. So there's always like one or two titles that become like the show that, everyone will latch onto. But The Sympathizer, with a largely cast, it just was never really quite going to get the look it probably deserved. But then also, I mean, because the thing is, if you think about, foreign language show, they've already got Shogun. Like, why are they going to do a second program?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, they're all racist. That's true.
I'm not saying it's racist, but it's outside of their industry. Like, these are industry awards. And so they're not just going to keep on voting for things that were largely sort of outside of their industry, would tell them that they're not.
That's going to be hard, though. I mean, when things, because with Netflix with Netflix being such an international brand now in every country, and major works hitting our screens produced from countries around the world that we have not seen series from, to any great extent previously. I don't know if that can continue. Emmys are going to have to start nominating. Well, I guess Squid Game broke the mold a little bit there a few years ago.
That was the one for that year.
Yeah, the one, exactly. You're right.
Yeah.
Surprise for me, maybe not so much for me because I really enjoyed the movie, but Unfrosted, the Jerry Seinfeld Pop-Tart movie, earned a nomination for Outstanding Television Movie. Here we go.
Okay, let's get into my big sort of bugbear of the thing. And I don't think I've got the list of TV movies here. I do here. So this is the list of television movies that were nominated.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Mr. Monk's Last Case, a Monk movie, being the Tony Shalhoub TV series turned TV movie. Quiz Lady, Red, White, and Royal Blue, Scoop, and Unfrosted. Now, I mean, Scoop's probably going to win of these five. But you think about all the movies that Netflix is submitting each year, okay? Like, surely any one of those movies... Sorry, when I say they're submitting, when they're submitting for the Oscar Awards, okay, like they are just as eligible for the television movie at the Emmy Awards, but they go for the prestige of the Oscar Awards and don't put them up for Emmys as well. Like, why not just submit them in both categories? I don't understand.
I don't get it.
And like, I do understand it's a marketing thing, but it's just ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah, Scoop was great. I think it'll probably win. And Quiz Lady is really good too. That was a really sort of interesting and lovely movie. But yeah, hey, Unfrosted. Who'd have thought? There it is. There. That's a big deal. Hey, did you know? And I'm just reading this on one of the websites I've got open, that The Idol, that terrible Lily Rose Depp, The Weekend thing, which was just horrible, earned a nomination. Got a choreography nomination, which is fair enough. I guess the choreography was the best thing about the show. I'd forgotten that was even a thing.
The first episode was interesting.
You dirty old perv. The snub that a few people are talking about, and I'm a little bit interested in because I've watched a few of the episodes now, is John Mulaney presents Everybody's in LA. The 4 outstanding talk series nominations, Daily Show, Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers, and Colbert, are all very much, kind of been there, done that. They're all doing some good work. There's did John Oliver get a nomination? I didn't see his name pop up anywhere.
Okay, so
he probably did.
Welcome to one of my big
John
talking
Mulaney
points.
was unlucky to miss out. Yeah.
Look, welcome to one of my big talking points that I wanted to talk about as we go through wins and snubs and whatnot. First of all, John Oliver, they end up submitting not in the talk series, but in scripted variety series. So in that one, there's just 2 titles going up against each other. It's Last Week Tonight with John Oliver and Saturday Night Live. Okay. And so I presume that John Oliver's going to win that category. But anyway, he's taken himself out from talk series. And you're right. John Mulaney's Everybody's in LA, that should have been nominated. I don't think it was going to win up against The Daily Show this year. So there's a couple of things. First of all, let's talk about The Daily Show. This show has come back with Jon Stewart in a really sort of big way because, Jon Stewart, people didn't expect this to happen, and then suddenly it was happening. And when he came back, the show had so much energy and vitality, and it came back at the exact right time. Well, he came back to The Daily Show at the exact right time. The Daily Show was a series which was always hard to beat back in the day. Okay, and I think this year, it's absolutely the show that deserves to win. The Daily Show, I don't know if you watch it at all, Simon, but since Jon Stewart's return, the Daily Show has been absolutely on fire. Okay, the Monday night US, but we get it here on Tuesday nights. That is must-see television. I think it's just been exceptional. He came back to that show with a confidence and just a control of that program in a way that is just really just unexpected, considering he was away from the show for as long as he was. But then the rest of the week, you got the correspondents, they refer to them, the other talent on the show. Every time they sometimes through the week they'll rotate them around. So every night there'll be a different host, or sometimes for a week they'll have just one of them or 2 of them on as the host. They kill it every single time. The
show has brought a new level of performance and insight and humor. I don't know whether it's because Jon Stewart is there sort of overseeing things or just his general influence on the set.
He's not really there, Simon. He turns up for the first day of the week and then he's off for the rest of the week. They don't see him.
But it's punching through. There's a flow-on effect to the rest of the team.
There is.
It really is must-see.
It's elevated. Yeah. I've been watching this nightly in a way that I didn't at all through the I've even forgotten his name.
Trevor Noah.
Through the Trevor Noah years. But right now, this show is absolutely on fire and absolutely deserves to win. What doesn't deserve to win is any of the other nominees. Stephen Colbert, I think, has just been tired on The Late Show. That show doesn't do anything particularly interesting with the format or whatever. Jimmy Fallon is... Oh, not Jimmy Fallon, it's Jimmy Kimmel. His show is... I really like Jimmy Kimmel, but the show is awful. I don't understand why it keeps on getting nominated because it's just not particularly a strong
He's an
production.
Industry player. He's a high-profile industry player, and that, as you say, it's an industry award show.
Yeah, look, there's probably something to that. And then Seth Meyers as well. I just think the writing on that show just stinks. So none of those shows deserve to be up there. But John Mulaney's Everybody's in LA was reverential to the idea of TV talk shows, really played around with the format of it. It was really funny. And when I say it played around with the format, it broke it apart and rebuilt it in a way that was really magnificent. From set design through to writing, through to performance, through to just every element of that program is so well thought through and considered. I don't understand how that show's not nominated. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, totally get. Do you have a few snubs and surprises that you want to run through very quickly?
Okay, well, big surprise was that Mulaney's Everybody's in LA didn't get a nomination. I don't know that it's a snub as much as I just think it's interesting. Kelsey Grammer, who used to win quite a number of years for his role as Frasier Crane back in the original run on Frasier, didn't get a nomination at all here, which I'm not saying he necessarily deserves to be there. It's just interesting that he's not. What else? Baby Reindeer, I think Baby Reindeer is probably going to win. It's a tough category, but it just kind of seems like the standout that's actually got the energy behind it. Larry David, I'm pretty sure, is going to win best actor in his category. We'll see how that plays out. And the other thing I thought was just really surprising is that HBO came in third in terms of nominations, and it just speaks to the fact they've had a lesser output, and they were very heavily impacted by the strikes in a way that HBO weren't. And then you got FX, which managed to perform really, really well, and that's off the back of things like The Bear and Shogun both outperforming in both their respective categories.
No Kate Winslet for The Regime. A couple of big names not appearing.
Yeah, but The Regime was awful.
Yeah, but it was a buzzy title, and she's right out there in front, and so it certainly had who was the showrunner, the main creative guy on it? It was, what's his name?
It was that guy.
That thing. Yeah,
but you know what?
Iannucci.
No, it wasn't Iannucci.
Wasn't it an Iannucci?
No,
I can't remember.
No, if it was Iannucci, it might have been funny, but it wasn't. Look, the thing to keep in mind is that every week there are big TV shows being launched with big stars and just interesting talent doing all sorts of interesting things throughout a year. This year's been a bit of a struggle because of the strikes, but even so, even in a year which has been as hampered as this year was, there's still enough happening where you don't find and I'm going to use the word here, Simon, and I apologize to anyone with kids in the car right now.
Here we go.
But there used to be a lot of star fuckery that used to take place in the Emmy Awards, where as soon as you had a big Hollywood actor slumming it on television, they were automatically going to be nominated for something. That time period is gone. The big stars are from TV now, and that's, it's just every week you're seeing big stars. Kate Winslet doesn't cut it anymore.
Emmy snubs, nominations, surprises. It's been a hell of an intermission, Dan Barrett. You've brought your A game once again, and I've had so many websites open just to keep up with you. Well done, my friend. Let's move this podcast on.